Hello, everyone. It is the day before Thanksgiving, which I say in quotes because I get yelled at for even talking about Thanksgiving every year. My old friend Ingrid, who's a riot girl, she just comes on. It's just like, how could you even say the word Thanksgiving? And like, so I'm a little afraid to do the holidays episode, but it won't be the last time we get yelled at, Jael. I mean, come on, let's be real.
Certainly not.
Okay, so tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and so we're going to talk about the holiday cycle and astrology, and in some ways about creating your own traditions around the sun cycle. So the concept here is if we look at the sun hand of the clock, we have our chart, and then we have the 10 spinning, clock hands of the planets. And so the sun hand of the clock goes around and it holds down the year's cycle essentially. And so then if we look at the holidays, the sun will engage our different charts in different ways every year. Like a good example of this is Valentine's Day. I think the sun's at maybe 26 Aquarius on Valentine's Day. It's like late in Aquarius. And so some people hate Valentine's Day like with a passion. And that would be like if the sun hits your chart in an erroneous way on Valentine's Day, like you are going to have an adverse reaction to Valentine's Day. And if you have a great aspect on Valentine's Day when the sun's there, then you will love Valentine's Day. So, does the concept itself make sense to you, Giles, to like watch the sun hand of the clock?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Have you ever done this before?
Well, I mean, it's sort of just like watching transits in a way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think like one thing that comes to mind for me is it's pretty interesting to look at what house the sun would be in for each rising sign. Like, for example, for Cancer, the sixth house for Sagittarius season. So it's kind of interesting. You can think of Cancers around the holidays being of service and like being the one who are sort of managing the routines and the schedules and that kind of stuff. Or like I'm a Pisces ascendant and I am always away from home or traveling during holidays.
So you're talking about how the sun's in Sagittarius around Thanksgiving, because that's the holiday we're dealing with right now. So the sun, I think, is at 4 Sagittarius right now. So tomorrow the sun will be at 5 Sag. Now let's talk about that. Every year is the sun at the same place on Thanksgiving. I mean, what is Thanksgiving? Is it like the last Thursday of the month, or do we know what it is?
Yeah, Thanksgiving is it is different every year because of it being Thursday based. But I think of when I think of the holiday season, I think of Sagittarius season, and yes, also it goes into Capricorn, but I feel like it's sort of like Sagittarius season is sort of roughly kicked off around Thanksgiving and sort of ends around Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So sort of like that busy
Yeah.
traveling and merrymaking time is all kind of Sagittarius season.
That is so interesting because like I feel like when the holidays hit, it's like when winter gets kind of fun. It's like you're like now you're giving thanks and you're traveling to see your Aunt Hilda and like you're saying, like that travel's tendency is very sun and Sag. So you're saying if someone's a Cancer rising, Sag is on their 6th house. And so how each rising sign interacts with this kind of Thanksgiving to Christmas, Hanukkah holiday season is like look at the house of Sagittarius on your chart. So you say for you it's in the 10th and you're always traveling at this time?
Yeah, exactly.
Where do you go?
Or I know I misspoke before. You were correct, but it's interesting. I have a mutual reception rulership between my 10th and 9th, but it's a wild time because I have Mars and Uranus right at 0 and 1, and then I have my midheaven at 13 and Neptune at 24. But I think what can be really illuminating for people, you can, and I've done this before, make a day by day sort of how is this season going for me. Also by adding in not only so each degree is going to aspect somewhere in your chart. Mm-hmm. So if you can kind of like, there's like a little bit of a planetary parade that gets illuminated by different types of sun aspects for sort of, I mean, not every day will make an exact aspect, but and you can also look at midpoints. Midpoints are really
Yeah. Well, like for you, so you have that Mars Uranus at like 2 Sag, right? And so the week before Thanksgiving or the few days leading up to Thanksgiving every year, we can know that you're just nutso. Like, and you woke up angry like yesterday or
Yeah.
whatever the day before, and it's like, so it's like you can plan for that. And one of the concepts of today is saying, can we create our own traditions according to our planetary parade, like you're saying? So it's like we could say one tradition for Jael is like every year before Thanksgiving, he's just nuts. I mean, like that's his tradition. Like, I mean, I don't know if
I
you
think
want to.
I'm usually cooking, and maybe the fact that I haven't been cooking the last couple of years because I'm just like not around other people is what's causing more conflict. Because I actually had a conflict with a mechanic yesterday.
Oh,
I rebuilt the suspension on my truck, and then I took it into the guys who have the fancy laser machines to kind of cherry on top, and they didn't tighten the bolts down enough, and I drove off with it, and it smashed up a bunch of the parts that I just installed. And then when I went back there to talk to them about it, they were like, "Oh, well, your truck's old and it's not our fault," and this kind of stuff. So but it was not a great conversation, but it was funny that again it happened right, especially because it squares my ascendant, which in traditional horary is the place of vehicles, uh,
yeah, yeah. Interesting.
which I think is
Well,
pretty funny.
you know what? I always think of Sagittarius with it's leading up to Christmas too, and then I think about people who have like 50 million Christmas decorations in their front lawn, and they might have like a lot of planets in Sagittarius. So as the sun's going over the Sags, they're like, "This is so fun," and I just want to be. I'm so festive, and I'm like, so they're like putting all these like lawn ornaments out, and it's like so. I
Mhm.
think maybe people who have a lot of planets in Sag are partly responsible for the festive holiday season and the fun of winter, essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, Sages are fun,
that's true. Do
lots
you
of
think?
imbibing also.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lots of partying and imbibing, and then also there's also the kind of dogmatic, philosophical discussion that goes on around the holidays of like, is this politically appropriate, and what
Yeah.
is what, and you know.
And I think it's also interesting to look on a broader level about like what are the Jupiter Saturn, what's the Jupiter Saturn cycle, and sort of what aspects are they making, because that can also talk about, because Jupiter ruling Sag and Saturn ruling Capricorn, and the what was the three wise men are said to have been following the Jupiter, like the, what is it called, the North Star, not the North Star, the,
Star of
what,
Bethlehem.
yeah, the Star. Sorry, I'm like, I don't know. Jeez. The Star of Bethlehem was maybe a Jupiter Saturn conjunction. So there's sort of a lot of like holiday themes in a sort of more mundane astrology way or historical astrology way. It has to do with Jupiter Saturn cycles and energy. And we've been kind of in this transition from like an Earth cycle into an air cycle. So that's sort of an interesting thing too, relating to the kind of fighting over beliefs and that kind of stuff, and also the kind of interesting shift of like at Christmas you get a bunch of gifts, right? There's all of this kind of like religiosity leading up to it, and then there's this sort of kind of like transfer into like duty and obligation and material things, which is kind
Yes.
of gift giving.
Interesting. So to build on your conversation about what house is Sag in your chart, like so, I'm just, I want to apply this to my
Yep.
chart, not because I'm a narcissist, just because it's good to have an example. Okay, so it's like I have Sag in the 7th, and whenever Sun goes into Sag, I'm just like, I need a present for so and so. I need a present for so and so. I need a present, like my whole, like I have this table, it's a craft table downstairs, and I'm just like making all these things for all these people. And it's because, and then eventually the sun goes over my Neptune square moon, and then I just like idealize everyone that I've ever met, and I just love them. I gotta give them a present, and like, and so I think it does hearken to like I really get into building my relationships during the holiday season. Some people don't like. Okay, let's say maybe what about Sag on 2? That would be a lot of shopping, don't you think?
Sorry, so, you mean on 2 degrees or?
No, on the second house.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, I mean, I would say so, definitely, and maybe like a lot of focus on like family or what supports you.
I like your values and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting. What about Sag on? Well, I guess Sag on 9 would be like a heavy traveler kind of thing.
Oh
Or
yeah,
maybe,
I mean for your Aries for sure.
yeah, or like religion also. I mean, we could get kind of literal with that. So for everyone who's watching, and sorry Ricky's not here. He speaking of traveling, he just told me like 5 minutes before the show that he's traveling. So um we decided to commune anyways because why not? But if you're here and you want to talk at all in the chat, we would love to hear from you. So the thing is, look at your chart and say when the sun is in early Sag, what is that doing to your chart? And how does that affect your relationship with Thanksgiving? Some people are politically opposed to Thanksgiving. Some people love it. Some people are the cook. Some people, whatever. So ask yourself in the early degrees of Sag, what am I doing? How does Thanksgiving affect my chart? And so, Jael, do you want to speak to your chart specifically? I guess we've passed your Mars Uranus. What are you at now?
Yeah. So let's see. Thanksgiving's tomorrow. So wait, hold on. Sorry, I had this written down. Oops. Well, okay. Should just look at the chart because that's easier. Okay, so we're about to be 5. So I'm kind of between my Mars Uranus and my midheaven, which is at 13, and I'm getting a little bit of a break. I think for me, there's a little bit of a Sag season starts off with a bang and then goes into some disillusionment. Um, but I think I'm also having a particularly intense time this year because my directed chart has the whole Mercury, Saturn, Pluto, and Moon, Jupiter is all in Sag right now, like
Oh
flanking
my
my
God.
midheaven. So just my 8th house is fully on blast in the 10th right now, and
Wow.
the sun is illuminating all of that too. So that's very helpful. But today, at 5, I'm getting a little bit of a break, which is nice. I've been doing a puzzle, and that's
Oh,
really nice.
nice. You got a
But
little free will on Thanksgiving.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm dog sitting for a friend in this beautiful home, so I'm getting to hang out with my little doggy nephew.
Nice.
Um,
We can back it up. What really starts the holiday cycle is Halloween. And now Halloween's a very predictable one. The sun is at 8 Scorpio every year on Halloween. And so,
mhm.
when I'm doing readings for people and they say, like, I don't, and I say, you're a Scorpio, this or that. And they say, I don't really identify with that. I'm like, okay, tell me what you do on Halloween. And they're like, I'm a zombie witch every year. And I'm like, that is your Scorpio bits. Okay. So you have a moon Jupiter at 9 Scorpio, right?
Yeah, 9 and 11. Yep.
Okay, so the sun is pretty much on your moon Jupiter around Halloween. So let's hear about your relationship to Halloween.
Well, in recent years, again, haven't been doing much, but I love Halloween. I mean, of course I do. When I was a kid, I think I was Beetlejuice like 3 different times. Although, as a trans man, I most of my costumes had to do with like something that meant that I could like dress up as a dude in some way. So like one year I was, and don't be offended, people, but I found this sort of Rasputin looking beard at a costume shop. So I was like a Russian spy was the concept, but I just wanted to wear this like beard, and I wore, I think I had like a very oversized blazer and like a felt hat. I don't know, it was very silly, but
Yeah.
I was also a hippie several times because my dad is a hippie, so I think I was basically just being my dad. Uh,
Interesting. Interesting.
but but
Yeah,
yeah, I love to dress up for Halloween.
yeah, and you're an actor anyway. Like you do drag and all kinds of stuff. So,
Exactly.
but yeah, a moon Jupiter would be very happy on Halloween. Like that would be
Mhm.
like rejoicing the darkness. Okay, so I have Uranus at 11 Scorpio, and it's really interesting because we've decided to build our traditions around the sun cycle at my house. So what we decided to do for my birthday, and I have Mercury at 2 Scorpio and the sun at 2947 Libra. So basically the week leading from October 22nd to October 31st, my chart is just bopping, right? Like it's like Mercury and Scorpio, right? So what we've decided to do is go to a haunted house as a tradition. And what I noticed is there's a group of us that are like 5 or 6 of us who've done this 3 years in a row, and we all have planets at that degree. Like Shane also has his Uranus at 9 Scorpio. My friend Terica has her Uranus at 7. Fern has Venus and Uranus at early Scorpio. And all of us are the core haunted house group. And so the sun's going over and we're all like, give us the zombies, and we go.
Right.
And so yeah, that group has literally been like, this is our tradition as we go out to a haunted house. And so that started after we started building our traditions around these transits. And I think it's it's a really cool way to plan for exciting things that will happen transit wise and cyclical,
Definitely. I think it's interesting too, the a haunted house is like jump scares, and you have Uranus there, and like for me, I mean I'll do a haunted house, but like for me Halloween is way more about like a fun costume. I like, to me it's not even necessarily like dark or scary inherently, like I mean I'm not totally against it. I like that too, but like for me it's a lot more just about the like you said, the sort of jovial aspect of like being silly and like having a fun. As an adult, most of my Halloween costumes have been sort of like some kind of concept, or like like not necessarily like macabre, just like an idea.
I'm looking for when Jupiter's in Scorpio next, and like how that will interface with Halloween, because that will be a really interesting year. So that will be November of 2029. Wow. Okay, Jupiter in October of 2029. Jupiter will be at 7 Scorpio, and the Sun will be conjuncted. So October of 2029 is going to be the most awesome Halloween ever.
It's gonna be a wild year for me, for sure.
Dude, I'm gonna start planning a party for October 2029, like a huge Halloween party. Yeah, let's go. All right, well, Halloween's a fun one to plan your trip because it is so fixed, and it really is celebrating the Scorpio elements. Yeah, Thanksgiving feels more Sag, doesn't it? It's like give thanks and be.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like Sages are very grateful in general?
I would say, I don't know. I mean, my relationship to Thanksgiving is reflective of what I think of Sag, which is more like hedonistic and like feasting. That's always been like, for me as a kid, I loved Halloween because Thanksgiving, because of the fact that to me it was a meal and eating themed holiday. It's a feasting holiday. It's all about just like piles and piles of food, and I always cook, and ever since I was a kid I was like the one who cooked Thanksgiving. And for me, screw whatever, people, politics, blah blah blah, whatever, but like I'm like, no, focus on the part where everybody gets together and you just like gorge on mountains of food. Like I love that.
So. But I feel like abundance is a thing with Sagittarius, and like the thing of the banquet or the feast is like we have so much food we can't even eat it all, and like that's an abundance, and then you eat all of it afterwards. I have to say that the sun sextiles my Venus on Thanksgiving, my Venus in Libra, and I'm always playing the piano at the Thanksgiving party. Like that's my whole thing. I'm not cooking, I'm playing the piano. So that's a thing.
The Mars versus Venus.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're Marsing and I'm Venusing. Okay. So, okay, let's fast forward to the. Oh wait. Okay, so Jenna's here, and she's saying, "Have you met Jenna before?"
No.
Oh, we're gonna have to have you and Jenna on a show.
I mean, the thing I've seen them, but yeah.
What'd you say?
I mean, I've seen her online, but
yeah. Well, you got to meet her. She's really cool, and so she's saying that in 2029, Mercury is also there. So it's the Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter in Scorpio, squaring Pluto and Aquarius.
Oh no! I tried to look at the chat. My bad. Oh no!
But that's crazy, huh? Sun, Mercury, Jupiter conjunct in Scorpio, square Pluto and Aquarius.
Wow!
That's gonna be so cool.
Absolutely.
Jenna's saying hi to you. She says hi, Jael. Okay.
Hello.
Okay, so let's fast forward to when we get to Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa season. So the sun is at, I believe, 8 Capricorn on Christmas, or maybe it's 4 or 5 Capricorn every year on Christmas. Okay, so what does that say to you about the Christmas vibe? Or
So
you just
Christmas, okay. So for Christmas, I think well, I was wanting to look up this Sabian symbol. Um, the Sabian symbol at 5 degrees Capricorn is called a dark archway with 10 logs at the bottom. And the quote is learning the relationship between beginnings and endings. And I wanted to say that one because I think there is like there is a little bit of a like ending beginning theme there. You know, we're especially when you again think about the mutable going into cardinal, but it's like the you know, a shift. It's like a shift into real winter. Like I think Sagittarius season, like you said, is sort of like the beginning of winter, but it's like fun winter. And you know, Capricorn season, and then again, and then into Aquarius season is where we start to go like we're like descending down. You know, it's the solstice also. You know, it's like the solstice time, and then we kind of like are descending into the underworld, if you will. So I think it becomes kind of like a sobering time.
yeah, interesting. Yeah, yeah. It is, you think about like evergreen trees, like the Christmas tree is very Capricorn because it's like that dark brown evergreen color and it's like it's not like the leafy green tree of like Aquarius, it's like the barren evergreen tree and the presence thing. I try to use the Capricorn vibe to give presents that will up a person's manifestation for the next year. Of saying, if you get this train set, you can become a better mechanic, or like if you whatever it is, like if you get a tool set, you can be better. Whatever it is, it's like not necessarily the frivolousness of gifts, but the actual high leveling up that comes with gift giving.
Yeah. I like that. That's really interesting. I mean, as a Virgo sun, I always like to give gifts like that. So I'm always like, let me give you something helpful and practical, you know.
Yeah,
But
gifts as development.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think one of the things that I really like about the sort of din after Christmas is it's like it's really this like sudden almost it feels very stark to me a lot of times of this like very kind of sudden shift into like a stillness. And one of my favorite things about wintertime, especially as a native Midwesterner, is like at night when it's snowy, it's just like the silence of like the snowy nighttime. Or like, I mean, as a kid, because I lived in the city, I would like really enjoy strangely enough, a parking lot, which often was lined by maybe an evergreen tree or something, but like just like the street light shining with the sort of gentle snow falling, and there's sort of nothing kind of quite like the silent of Oh Silent Night, of
Yes.
winter snowy eve, you know.
That is so Capricorn, the barrenness. Like, okay, Jenna, what is the sun at 5 Cap and hit in your chart, or whoever else here is here in the chat? But like, okay, so yeah, I think that's such a good point. Like, if you look at the concretization of bones, you know how they say Capricorn rules the bones. I
Yeah.
was thinking about this as when the air gets so tight that the water becomes snow, which is white. The human body forms bone formation. And I
Yeah.
always think about how the snow looks like bones, right? And so it's like that's a thing I've thought. But I like that. It's like the austere quality to the air. It's so quiet and so like desolate feeling. It's like an absence of chi almost is kind of the
Yeah.
I like
Well,
it.
and it's you know, polarity wise, it's a negative feminine sign. So that's I think there's also like that kind of drawing in quality, especially after the expressiveness and the very like yang feeling of Sagittarius season.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Okay, so let's talk about Christmas, and then we should address Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, which I
Yeah.
don't know the rules necessarily about Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, but we can. Okay,
I
so
don't know anything
Jenna,
about Kwanzaa, but I can say something about
we
it.
can look it up. We can look it up. So Jenna has a 5 Cap midheaven and a 3 Cap Neptune. So that would be really interesting if you have the sun go over Neptune right before Christmas. Like like Jenna, are you like really mad? Is Christmas like really magical with that Sun Neptune, or like what is the feeling around Christmas for you? That's really interesting. So, Jael, what do you have around Sun at Cap 5?
I have a south node at 9 degrees, and that's my only, and it's 11th house for me. It's my only placement, or major one at least.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
It's
So,
it's not. I mean, it could be. It's often. It's a very like a lonely time for me, I would say.
yeah, like there's almost like a lacking of community in some way.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. So what do you think about the opposite then we can get to is Independence Day, which I'm not also supposed to talk about. I get yelled about that holiday too, but that's when the sun's in Cancer, and that would be on your North Node. So we can
Yeah.
like look at the difference there. But okay, so you feel like you're kind of like lacking in community because of the Sun and South Node.
Oh yeah. I mean, I struggle with groups and community in general. I always have, and there's also an element there of. I mean, I think it's interesting, especially when you think about the sun clock part of it, of how there's a way that I often have become involved in groups in a very like idealized Neptune Sagittarius kind of way. Like it starts off with this sort of like I'm following a dream and a belief in a lofty goal, and I'm wanting to fight for what's right or whatever. And then I sort of find myself in this barren
Oh my gosh.
wasteland experience.
Right.
So yeah, it doesn't end
If
well.
you
But
lived in Portland, I would have you over to my house and we
okay.
would feed you a feast.
Well, I might make it back there. I have always kind of had that. I've been making this sort of slow circular motion around the country. So
Mhm. Yeah. Well, so the sun every year on Christmas hits my Venus square Jupiter. So Venus is at 6 Libra and then Jupiter's at 6 Cancer. So like I am in party town on Christmas, like I don't know, like giving all the gifts, getting gifts, like I don't know, playing the piano, like I'm always just party town.
I love
Um,
it.
Okay, so Jenna is, I think the anticipation is super magical, but then on the day it's always just work, and I'm glad when it's over. Yeah, because the sun passes your Neptune like a day or two before Christmas. So it's like it's all the anticipation is magical, and then it's just like now it's on my MC. I'm at my work. I'm at the workplace. um yeah, but isn't it interesting when we look at our charts around the sun cycle, we can start to plan for our feelings, like they say with astrology, you're supposed to plan for how you're supposed to marry the intellectual mind with the heart mind. Like you say, like since I'm going to feel like everything's magical up until a day before Christmas, I'm going to go to the mall and see the magical whatever before, I don't know, like we're supposed to basically like plan for it. And like I don't know how Jael would plan for the South Node in 11. It could be that you plan to be in community or you plan to.
Well, I like to think of the nodes as like in. I don't really like the like going towards, going away from, because I don't think that's correct. But I do think that the idea of sort of power out and power surge, like we say in medical astrology, is kind of an accurate thing. And so I think when you pair the idea of 11th house community with the idea of like a power out, or to me that's sort of like a time when some of the best Christmases I've ever had is when I didn't go anywhere and I like stayed at home and sort of did a kind of like retreating thing, like order a bunch of pizzas, roll one, or like one night. Actually, one year when I was at when I lived in Portland, I house sat for these very weird random people, and then walked to some kind of like almost Beaverton, like way far out, like karaoke bar slash Chinese restaurant, and like did karaoke with all the like local drunks for
Wow.
my Christmas. It was a blast though, but it was very like it, but it had that very solitary kind of feeling, and I don't know how to. I know I'm probably not getting this across in what I've said so far, but somehow to me, all of those things have a sort of monk like austerity to them, like a solo kind of like
Wow.
walking in the snowy street by myself, or even when I've traveled by myself, even when I've traveled to see people, it's always felt very sort of like pilgrimage, solo pilgrimage kind of vibe. Like,
Wow. So
yeah,
you
I don't,
can plan every year to go on your solo pilgrimage, and it could be to a karaoke bar or like walking in the street. But like that's kind of cool to say, like I self note at this on this time, and this is it's kind of thing. So Jenna's saying that she was so depressively disenchanted when she found out Santa wasn't real. Big hit to my Christmas time Neptune's illusionary thinking.
oh
Oh my
no.
God, that's so true. That's so real. Hey Jenna, I'm gonna have to because it's gonna hit my Venus square Jupiter. I'll have to make you a really enchanted, magical Christmas song video. That's what I'll do. I'll keep in mind that your Neptune's there, and maybe we can superimpose Jael on his solo journey in the movie, walking alone through the streets while you're. I don't know. I wish I
Anyway,
could make a movie of everything. What?
I'm into it.
All right. Okay, so let's look at. Okay, so what are the rules of Hanukkah? Like Hanukkah happens.
Eight crazy nights.
Is 8 crazy nights. Okay, does it start at Christmas? It starts around Christmas. When is
I
Hanukkah?
think it's different every year because the calendars don't line up, is my
Oh,
memory.
okay. So it says in this year it's the evening of Sunday, December 14th to Monday, December 22nd. Okay, so I guess we would have to look each year at Hanukkah. When is it going to be? What's it hitting in your chart this year? Now, some holiday style are not formulaic and they change every year. Like, for example, Thanksgiving changes, Easter changes, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them you can really depend on, like 4th of July every year on July 4th, Valentine's Day every year, So those are the ones where we can really tie our traditions to our chart. But then there's these ones that change all the time, and then you got to kind of plan year by year.
Yeah. I mean, I think Hanukkah is interesting because it really brings together the Jupiter Saturn themes of both belief and austerity, because
Yeah.
it's like this miracle of the the lamp that lasts longer than it should, just so to speak.
Uh, so looking at Hanukkah for this year, the sun is at 22 Sag, and it goes all the way up to 1 Capricorn. So if you're celebrating Hanukkah this year, look at the end of the fire signs or the even the mutable signs to see what is the sun hitting for you and how might Hanukkah be feeling for you this year. Um, Mercury is also in Sag. Let's see, Venus will be in Sag. Wow, it's a very Sag Hanukkah this year. Mars will be in Capricorn. So all right. Now, let's be fair. I don't know about Kwanzaa. Do you? Let's see.
I honestly don't know anything about it except for, yeah.
How is Kwanzaa celebrated? It's a week-long celebration, December 26th through the January 1st, secular celebration of African American culture and heritage. Okay, so it's every year from December 26th to January 1st, which we can then plan for. Um,
Yeah.
so that's sun at 4 cap to sun at 10 cap. All right.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like a full on Capricorn holiday, unlike the other ones, which sort of tend to bridge or lead up to.
Yeah. I think of Capricorn so much in like African American history and rights. Like I think Martin Luther King Day is when the sun's at the end of Capricorn, and that was Martin Luther King's birthday, I believe. And then Black Lives Matter was when Pluto and Saturn were at the end of Capricorn. And like I just think of the color castor brown is the color of Capricorn, which is like the color of African American skin. And I'm like, I feel like the eyeball of humanity takes a good look and is like, let's honor this group of people at this time. And I really love that about Capricorn. Like it's such a beauty in darkness of all
Yeah,
kinds. And it's brown. It's like brown, so it's beautiful.
for
Um,
sure.
all right, so if you're looking at Kwanzaa, it's more. I like what you're saying. It really is in the heart of Capricorn, whereas like Christmas kind of spans Sag to Cap. I wonder what the Kwanzaa celebration rituals are. Daily candle lighting. A black candle is lit on the first. Okay, that's cool. And a
Okay.
new candle is lit each night. There's principles to it. Emoja, which is unity, self-determination, cooperative economics. Oh my God, that's so Capricorn.
Right.
Um, purpose, faith. Okay, this is super cool. Then you set the table. Interesting. Okay. All right. Any other comments about Christmas, Kwanzaa, or Hanukkah? Anyone? All right. What about New Year's Eve? New Year's Eve is a big one.
Oh yeah.
That happens on the same day every year.
Yep.
And that is the sun at 9 Capricorn.
Yep.
And I feel like New Year's resolutions are very Capricorn. Like, how am I going to do better this year?
Yeah.
But then there's the big party of it too. So that seems, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, that is exactly on myself now. And so, I mean, I think for me in that way, it sort of really works out as far as like a cycle, as far as like the lowest kind of like a low point in some ways, or not. I mean, sometimes it's been low in a negative way, but even just in a kind of like energetic way of, I don't know. I do see like that's another thing about the nodes energetically as being sort of like a flowing of like we're gonna like in out, like big small intensity and like a
Yeah.
quietness. But I don't know. I do. I've always liked New Year's Eve, but yeah, again, it really when I think back to all of them, even ones that I've spent in large crowds and stuff, it does feel very like personal or very like um, I feel like I've had a lot of New Year's Eves like where myself or me and another person sort of wander the street and late into the night kind of things or like um, yeah.
We need a video of you wandering the street with some like really cool music, like because I feel like that's this new thing I'm discovering about you.
I've done a lot of wandering the street. It's true. That is actually very true. And even as a kid, my mom often worked several jobs, including nighttime's one. That as soon as I became a teenager, I just loved the quiet of the night, which is that's also very much related to my Piscean nature because I'm so tapped into everybody's energy all the time that I love the nighttime. I'll be exhausted all day long and then I'll be like, oh man, I really want to go to sleep. But then I can't because it's like finally quiet. Everybody's energy is finally quiet enough at night
Yeah,
for me
interesting.
to like think clearly, So but I would totally like sneak out or not need to sneak out sometimes and just like walk around and just like I love the quality of the street lights at night and like especially in Michigan, I thought the sidewalks seemed very magical to me. I realized eventually that it's crushed glass is why they're
Yeah,
sparkling. But I love that. I love all of that, and I love the beauty in the sort of like austerity or like not yes austerity, but also like what am I saying? I don't know. Yeah, like I kind of love the beauty of like industrial areas and like which I think is like kind of a Capricorn.
um, yeah. I really want some video of you walking the street. I'm looking up night songs. I can learn a night song, and we can have the Jael walks the streets video. Okay, so Jenna is saying that she loves New Year's resolutions, and the sun is on her Mars at 12 Cap in the 10th house, I believe. That is the most ambitious New Year's Eve ever. Like,
Very
pretty much, Jenna is like powering out the manifestation for the whole year. She's just like, you know, powering out. Wow, you really are working it. The sun sextiles my Pisces moon every year on New Year's Eve, and I do a lot of visioning and manifestation. Like I don't necessarily set resolutions, but I do a lot of Piscean like visioning for a brighter future. Kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, so anyway, if you're listening, consider the Sun at 10 Capricorn on New Year's Eve. How does that interact with your chart, and what it could be your tradition around, New Year's Eve and the making of resolutions, the dropping of the ball, all that kind of stuff. So, as you're seeing in today's episode, there is the holiday cycle, but as astrologers with this sun cycle, we could be making traditions for ourselves and our family that line up with what our interaction with those holidays are and like how we feel each year. And I think that's super powerful, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What's the next one? Should we move to Valentine's
Oh,
Day?
can I
Oh, go
throw one more thing in here? Actually, I also have Jupiter at 9 degrees. Not, but in the ninth house, Scorpio, and New Year's Eve always kicks off my favorite time of year to do like a lot of reading, because that's my like I love ninth house Scorpio, deep investigation, and it's like a quiet time of year and all that kind of stuff. But that is like with the Jupiter and the nodes thing, that is like always a huge time for me where I like get a bunch of books and I start reading a million different things at once, and I start doing some kind of like deep investigative kind of work too. But I've noticed that too, because there's other parts of the year where I almost can't read a book at all. But
interesting.
during that time of year, I'm like, let's go, let's read.
That is fascinating. That's a really good observation. Okay, cool. Well, we'll know everyone send Jael books in for Christmas so that he can read them starting on New Year's Eve.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's just as a side note too, something that's because I think a lot of times people look at their chart and they might not even have something in a house or a sign, and they're like, "Oh, I don't have anything," but you always have things, and learning like sensitive degrees can be really helpful because if you have the same number degree or near it, then there's going to be an aspect that happens when something hits that.
Mm-hmm.
And also to look at things like rulers, where the ruler of a house is, or where the ruler of a planet that's being activated will fill in the details of the story about
Mm-hmm.
what's getting activated for you at that particular time. It's not always just like what's exactly at that degree.
Yeah, totally. Interesting. Good point. Yeah. Yeah, like so look at as Giles' point, like let's look at that. Look at the house. Where is Capricorn in your chart if for New Year's Eve? What house? Like for Jenna, it's in 10. So she might be setting career goals. Like for me, it's an 8. I might set financial goals. For Giles, it's an 11. It might be community goals. So ask yourself, where's Capricorn for you and what kind of goals might you be setting in that time?
Yeah, and then where's your Saturn?
Oh yeah, the ruler. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
Because I mean, again, my Saturn's in the eighth house, so it kind of explains a little bit about the community stuff.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, cool. So let's fast forward to Valentine's Day, which is a very predictable holiday. It happens every year on February 14th. And as we talked about earlier in the episode, some people are really against Valentine's Day. It's one of the more contentious holidays. So the sun is at 25 Aquarius on Valentine's Day. Now, I think this is so weird because we always think of it as like a love holiday, but it's really about Aquarian things. It's about friendship. Like if you look at kids, they give out
Yep,
their little Valentine's Day things to everyone in their class, and that is like I'm making a million friends.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and I'm also seeing here it's in the human design gates or whatever, which I think can be kind of interesting to look at. It's gate 30, which is called desire. So I think that's really interesting because it's like literally like in the I Ching, it's fire with fire, fire on top of fire. So
Interesting.
and that's really interesting as a contrast to Aquarius, which is like very cold. But I feel like that's really kind of like the meaning or the intent behind Valentine's Day is like I almost see like a fiery heart encased in ice. It's sort of like the warming up, like the very very first seed of kind of like warming, like keeping a little fire going or like warming up things in the midst of that sort of like coldness.
Yeah, things do warm up in Aquarius. It's true. Like they're all kind of cold. They're so cold in Capricorn that we actually stop going to school. We stop engaging our community. We stay home, and then in Aquarius we start to grow the greenery of friendships again and things like that. So yeah, I mean, let's talk about haters of Valentine's Day. I mean, what kind of aspect if somebody had the sun hitting it in their chart would make them hate Valentine's Day?
Hmm.
Like, I guess Leo people are opposed by Valentine's Day, like the Sun in Aquarius
Right?
opposes Leos. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, if you had a Mars Saturn conjunction at 25 Leo, you might really hate Valentine's Day.
Well, yeah, that would be quite a. I mean, I think, like the question coming to my mind is like, why do they hate it? Because I feel like there's some different camps. Like one camp would be they hate it because it reminds them that they don't have romance that they want. And then there are some people who are like, I am totally unbothered by romance at all times, and this is stupid, and I don't care about it in general. You know, like those are like very
Yeah.
different kind of scenarios. Like I almost think of that would be kind of like a Capricorn moon person who might be kind of like, or even Aquarius, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. That's true. Like, yeah, I think there's some people who feel thwarted in love, and then I think there's some people who are like political about some people don't have lovers, and so then they get mad about like the
Right.
possible people of possibility of. So let's look at things that square Aquarius. Like, okay, Scorpios might. It's an interesting holiday for Scorpios because you think if they were in love, they might want to have a spicy um
But
situation.
Valentine's Day is specifically quite trite, and Scorpios are about like deep, raw intensity, and Valentine's Day is like, here's a paper card,
That's true.
and like, let's buy superficial gifts and make superficial gestures. Um,
Patrick, what degree is your Venus in Leo? So Patrick says his Venus in Leo is normally quite unmoved by the forced quality of Valentine's Day. Okay, so that could be somebody's angst about it is that it's forced and like they're like, why would I show love when I show love every day or kind of thing. Yeah, I see what you're saying about the Scorpio thing of like it's not deep enough for the Scorpio, and that's the square there of like,
yeah.
you know.
I would say, in a way, and now that I'm thinking about that, I'm like all of the hard aspects, whether it's the Leo opposition or the Taurus and Scorpio squares, all of those signs are going to want deep, meaningful intensity and like real gesture, like not just performative things. And there's a sort of friend zone. I mean, I hate that term. I don't know, but like there's this kind of like superficial or like friendly kind of aspect to the Valentine's Day thing that's like a little bit, it's too cool, it's too like intellectual and cool and like surfacey and universal and not like deep and raw and
Well, I think the tourist people probably are the ones filling up the restaurants. Like Jenna's saying the wait times at restaurants are crazy. Well, it's like all the tourist people are like, it'll be nice for a nice meal, but then they can't get in to have their meal. So that's the square there is like, I can't,
yeah.
you know. Um, maybe the Leo people have a harder time with that. It's, I don't know, that if they're not in love or they feel thwarted in love, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I could also see a Leo Venus loving it if they were being showered. Like
mhm.
if we were, because not all oppositions are bad. Like
Yeah.
opposition is also just like the energy of me and other. So like when it's a harmonious situation, it could be like, oh yes, please shower me with love and attention.
That's true. If I was being technical, Patrick, I would say that the sun at 25 Aquarius is way past your Venus. So, like, your Venus isn't necessarily in the equation of Valentine's Day. I'm not trying to deny you or anything like that, but I'm just being highly technical because what we are looking at is the technicals of the sun going around and where it is literally hitting your chart by transit on these holidays. Like, I have an opposition to Saturn and Leo. My Saturn is at 28 Leo. And so like historically I've just been really shy on Valentine's Day of being like I'm not going to ask anyone out and like why I just feel kind of inward and my heart chakra is kind of like shut down on that holiday. So I've never been the most vibrant Valentine's person. How are you on Valentine's Day, Jael? What's up with your chart?
Well, it is the 12th house for me. So I have found that the 12th house has been or Aquarius season has often been a breakup time for me, or a moment when I realize that something should be a breakup.
Oh no, oh no. It's a savage sadness for you.
I don't have any major placements in the 12th house, but again, my Saturn ruler is in the 8th, so that combination of things really tends to bring about endings. For example, in my most recent, which was not even that recent, but when my most sweetest baby girl dog passed, probably like 3 or 4 years ago. Um, during that process, my partner at the time, who was not awesome, really was the way that they acted during my experience of saying goodbye to my dog. I was like, oh yeah, no, this is not gonna work out.
Wow.
Because that can really happen, the way that partners uh, behave around grief situations and around loss, family loss, or like it can be really revealing about not just romantic partners, but just relationships in general. Like, for example, if you have a partner who needs to pull focus and make everything be about them, even when it's like you're trying to bury your dad, or
Mm-hmm.
that's it. At least for me, that is definitely like that is a. Oh, speaking of, oh my goodness,
Oh, hi, cutie.
this is my little Sabrina.
Oh, she's cute.
That's Butterbean, and here, let's.
Wow.
He
I
wants
like
to be in my lap, but then he's
I
like,
like
"Oh
her
my
face.
god."
I have to say that I've transmuted my relationship with Valentine's Day because my kid has a moon Jupiter Pluto at 28 Sag, so it sextiles all that, and it trines my son in the 5th house. And so I've taking her out on Valentine's Day, and that's really made a nice holiday for that one. So that's the reason
Yeah.
I bring up that example is that's like when we have families, I think creating traditions around where everyone's chart is on a holiday. It's not just you, right? You're not an island when you're in a family. It's like you have 4 or 5 charts to consider. It's like maybe 3 of you like Valentine's Day and one of you hates it. Like, what are you going to do then? And I think so. A lot of moms and dads and parents, I guess in general, astrology is used for planning. I mean, that's very pagan, and it's like just. So I think really look quickly or closely at that. Okay, so we only have 5 minutes, and we do want to have people know where they can find you, Giles. So let's talk about Independence Day, which the sun, I believe, is at like 13 Cancer on Independence Day, which is probably why it's such a patriotic holiday.
Oh,
It's
big time.
sun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mega patriotism.
yeah.
I mean, look at Trump.
Oh yeah, totally. Okay, so let's look at everybody who's here. Where does the sun at 13 Cancer hit your chart, and what's your relationship with Independence Day? So Jaya, what about you? It's on
Um,
your north node. It's on your north node.
That's right. It's on my North Node, and for most of my adult life, which again I am now retired from this aspect, I was what I like to say jokingly gay for pay, because I was a drag performer, and so the entirety of June was just like a nonstop rehearsal and show fest. It was just like one event after another. So definitely, I mean, that's a sort of patriotism in and of itself, you could say. But by the time Independence Day hits, I am basically falling flat on my face from the excess, the very North Node excess of life. I like go all out, and then yeah, by July I'm like face planting and.
Oh wow, interesting. You're face planting your 5th house, so you could be doing your own performance. I would love to see you perform on to the 4th of July, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. I also think it's too hot, but that's a little bit of a side note. I don't know.
You know, it is a water sign, and it gets very humid around the 4th of July, and it's too much water in the air in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my God, Patrick has Saturn at 19. Okay, so Patrick, what's the week after look like for you? I mean, I guess maybe there's probably some like feeling of like you should be with your family, or like there's some shoulds going on with that Saturn in Cancer, or maybe you feel separate from them. I don't know. I don't know. It's we'd have to ask you. We can't tell you what it's going. I mean, you can kind of make a little delineation, but all right. Well, so that was a pretty good run around the holiday cycle. That was fun, it wasn't it?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it's really good to think about, and so I want to hear from all y'all. Maybe we can talk on the Facebook wall a little bit about like what traditions we've created around the holidays for ourselves. So, Giles, I want people to find you if they want readings, or do you what
Sure.
do you do readings, or how can they find you?
I absolutely do readings. I really don't have much of a public internet presence at the moment. I do have an Instagram, which is at Gnostic Mechanic, GN. Um, and you can find me chit chatting on the Facebook page, certainly. I mean, I love doing readings. I'm just not much of an advertiser. I would like to say, though, as a finishing note, that I think it would be interesting to talk about on the page synastry. Like you mentioned about the family. I would love to, that would be really interesting for family planning, like looking at how people's planets not only are getting activated by the season, but that are interacting with each other.
Oh, interesting. Like we could ask everyone. We could say like I'll be in the office tomorrow because I'm working a shift. So it's like we could say to people what is the sun hitting in your chart, and then find all the synastry. Okay, okay, that's cool. I like that. I like that. Okay, so all right, Jael. Well, thanks for rallying with me, even though Ricky's on a plane somewhere.
Yeah.
Sorry for anyone who was here to see Ricky. That was not our fault. Jael and I were here. Don't punish us. Okay, we were.
Oops, just me. Yeah, no.
Well, Jael, I just love seeing you, and I have to say that you talking on the Facebook page is one of the joys of my workday. I love talking to you, and I love how verbal you are. It's just one of the fun things. So.
Oh yeah. Well, it's nice to find the rare appreciator. So.
Yeah, I don't always get to every point that you make, but I try to like pick out a few and like respond to those. And then sometimes I do respond, but I have to go point by point because you often make like 10 points in one
It's true.
paragraph, you know? So,
Wow.
all right. Well, thank you, Jenna. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you for everyone who's here in the chat, and thank you, Jael. Have a wonderful holiday, everyone.
Yay! All right. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.